So you have a shiny new mould and you're desperate to use it, but you don't want to make too much batter. Here are some easy ways to calculate the amount of soap batter you'll need. This is the easiest way to calculate the weight of batter required for your mould. As long as your mould is waterproof and can hold liquid without leaking, simply fill your mould up to the desired level with water. The weight of water in the mould multiplied by 0.9 equals the weight of soap batter. Why 0.9? Well, soap is approximately 10% lighter on average than water. So if your mould holds 1,000 grams of water, you need around about 900 grams of soap batter. Now, let's look at this from a maths point of view. This will work for any square or rectangular mould. You will need to measure the width of your mould, the length of your mould, and the height of your mould where you want the soap to come up to in centimetres. The volume of your mould is width multiplied by length multiplied by height. If you've measured this in centimetres, the next step is easy. Simply take your mould volume that you've just calculated and multiply it by 0.9, and that number will give you your soap batter amount in grams. How easy is that? So, let's look at this with a real-world mould. This one is probably the most common mould on the market, and I bet you've got one of these at home. I know this mould is 7 centimetres wide, it's 26 centimetres long, and the height I want in the mould is 7.5 centimetres. If I multiply 7 by 26 by 7.5, I get 1365 centimetres cubed. Now, I'll take my number 1365 and multiply that by 0.9. I'll get 1228.5. And that number is the amount in grams that my mould will hold in soap batter. So I need 1228.5 grams of soap batter to fill that mould up exactly where I want it. Now please note, that is the total weight of soap. That is your oils, your lye, your water and any additives you've added into that. You then need to run it through a lye calculator to get the correct proportions. So, column moulds. Column moulds have a tiny little bit more math, but remember, as long as you work in centimetres, your final figure is always going to give you the gram number. Okay, so it's very easy to get that volume. To calculate a round mould, you actually only need 2 measurements. The first one is the diameter of the circle, so how wide the circle is from edge to edge. And the second one you need is the height. Basically, what you have to do is you take the width of the circle and you divide that number by 2, which gives you the radius. Next, you take the radius and you multiply that by the radius. Okay? Then what you do is whatever number you get from that equation, you then multiply by 3.14, otherwise known as pi. That will give you the area of the circle. That area is then multiplied by the height of the tube, and that gives you a volume for the tube. It's quite simple, that really, isn't it? From there, you once again take the volume of the tube, multiply it by 0.9 because soap is lighter than water, and that final figure you're given gives you the weight of soap batter in grams. So once again, let's translate this to a real world scenario. As a soap maker, when you start off, you're often told not to buy moulds, and one of the best moulds for using for round soaps is a well-known brand of stacking potato chips that once you open them are very difficult to stop eating. I think you all know which ones I'm talking about. Those tubes are 3 inches in diameter by 10.5 inches in height. And I know what you're thinking now. You said to work in centimetres. Well, we're going to. What we're going to do is first of all convert our inches into centimetres. Now, 1 inch equals 2.54 centimetres. So 2.54 is what we're going to multiply our inches by. So it works a little bit like this. 3 inches multiplied by 2.54 equals 7.6 centimetres. So our 3-inch diameter is 7.6 centimetres. Our 10.5 inches multiplied by 2.54 equals 26.6 centimetres. So our 10.5 inch height is going to be 26.6 centimetres. Okay, now all of those numbers at the end have been rounded down. So the first one was 7.62, but I've rounded down to 7.6. It makes math a little bit easier. And the 26.6 was actually 26.66. But I've rounded down again because, again, we don't want to overfill the mould. So if we round down, it makes it easier to do all these calculations and means you're not going to put quite so much batter in the mould. So now we know our centimetre values, and rather than going through the rigmarole of doing inches to centimetre conversions like we've just done, you can measure these straight into centimetres. But I thought it worthwhile showing you how to convert from inches into centimetres if you're not sure. First, what we're going to do is take our diameter measurement, which is 7.6 centimetres, and we're going to halve it. We're going to divide that by 2, and that gives us 3.8. Next, that 3.8 centimetres, we need to multiply by itself. So we're going to take 3.8 and multiply it by 3.8, and that gives us 14.4. At this point, hopefully you're still with us and you know where we are. If not, just pause the video here, take a look at where we've gone, and hopefully that will all make sense to you. Now we've got the 14.4, we need to multiply that by 3.14. 3.14 is pi. So that will give us a total at this point of 45.2. Now that is the area of the circle. So our 45.2 centimetres squared is the area of the circle. We've just essentially done pi r squared. 45.2 is then multiplied by the height of the mould, which is 26.6, and that gives us a total volume for the tube of 1202. So 1202 centimetres cubed. And as we know again, 1 centimetre cubed of water is equivalent to 1 gram. So if you have 1202 grams of water, it would take up 1202 centimetres cubed. But soap is lighter. So we need to take our 1202 and multiply that by 0.9, and we come out with 918 grams of soap batter. And once again, you need to run that through a calculator to work out the proportions of oils, lye and water. And finally, we are on to looking at odd shaped moulds, and you can find them everywhere. They're normally silicone, and your best way of measuring those is with the water method we showed at the beginning. But if you're happy to kind of estimate length, height and depth, you can use all of the techniques that I've showed you in the previous 2 examples to kind of get an idea of how much batter you're going to need in the mould. But the method that's going to work the closest is the water method, and simply fill all the cavities of the mould up, weigh the water before and after, know how much water has been used, and then use the multiplying by 0.9 trick, and that'll give you how much batter to use to fill all those moulds up. So hopefully that's all been helpful for you. If it has, leave a thumbs up in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, tick the bell icon to make sure you get notified when there's a new video uploaded, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye bye.